Hello there, TrueTube. Welcome to the new London Synagogue. Come in. My name's Natasha. I'm going to be showing you around the new London Synagogue. But before we go into the main sanctuary, I need you to please cover your head. This is a kippah. Traditionally, men in Judaism cover their heads as a way to show respect for God. Women also cover their heads, usually as a sign to show that they're married, but sometimes in the modern day, women also cover their heads for religious purposes. This is called a siddur, or a prayer book. It has all of the prayers that we will be doing throughout the week. We pray in Hebrew, but it also gives an English translation. This is called a Chumash, and it has all of the passages that we will be reading from the Torah, the Jewish holy book, in the service. Usually, a Jewish house of prayer is called a synagogue. This word is Greek, and it means assembly. I personally am more likely to call it shul, which is from the German word for school, because a synagogue is not just a place that we come to assemble, it's also a place we come to learn. In Hebrew, we might call it a Beit Knesset, a house of assembly, or a Beit Tefillah, which means a house of prayer. So come through with me to the main sanctuary. This is the room where most of our prayer services are held. This is a traditional synagogue, so men and women sit separately. We can see up here the women's gallery, where the women sit. And there's also a section to our left here, where women will sit. And the men will sit in this section down here. Men and women sit separately in Jewish services as to not distract each other, so that we can focus on the service itself. Everyone in the service sits facing Jerusalem. This is because Jerusalem is the holy city in Judaism, and it's the city in which the temple used to stand. This is my usual seat. I come here for worship services on Shabbat. Shabbat is the Jewish holy day, which starts on Friday night and ends on Saturday night, because Jewish days begin in the evening. Shabbat is a special day in Judaism. It's a day of rest. We take this to mean not only that we can't go to our places of work, but that we can't do creative or destructive work. So for example, we can't write because that's creative, and we also can't rub out what's already been written because that's destructive. Another thing that we can't do on Shabbat is take public transport or drive. That means that we have to walk to synagogue. I live an hour away from my synagogue walking, which means I have to do 2 hours of walking every Shabbat. Another thing that we can't do on Shabbat is carry. So anything that I'm going to want during the service needs to already be at the synagogue. That's why I keep my talit in my seat. The talit traditionally is worn by men, and men are obligated to wear it every day as they pray. However, women are not obligated, but some women choose to wear it anyway. A talit is a prayer shawl. We wear them during morning prayers throughout the week as well as on Shabbat. What's important about a talit is not the actual material, but rather these. These are tzitzit, or fringes. We put them on the corners of our talit, and we wear them when we pray. They're supposed to represent the 613 commandments within the Torah. This platform is what we call the bimah. It's where we read the Torah during the service. In Jerusalem, until about 2,000 years ago, there used to be a temple standing. This was where the majority of Jewish life took place. But as of 2,000 years ago, the temple has been destroyed, and the synagogue has taken the place of the center of prayer for Jews. Because of this, many things in the synagogue are here to symbolize what would have been in the temple. This is what some people would know as a menorah. Actually, it's called a Chanukiah, and it's slightly different to a menorah because a menorah only has 7 candlesticks or 7 lamps, whereas a Chanukiah has 9. The menorah was what was standing in the temple, which is what this is supposed to symbolize. But we use a Chanukiah on Hanukkah, the festival of lights. This is a ner tamid, or an eternal light. It's supposed to symbolize the eternal light that would have been in the temple, but also to symbolize God's relationship with the world and with the people of Israel. The Ner Tamid is in the shape of a Star of David. This is the main symbol of Judaism. This symbol, which I'm also wearing, it's supposed to be the shape of King David of ancient Israel's shield. At the top here are 2 tablets. These are the tablets of the 10 Commandments, or as Jews tend to call them, the 10 sayings. These particular 10 sayings are commandments that were given by God to Moses. This is the most important part of the synagogue. This is the ark where we keep the Torah scrolls. These are what we call Sifrei Torah, or Torah scrolls. Each one of these is the same and has the 5 books of Moses within them. We have many of them because we use them in different services and at different points during the week, so they need to be set to different places. The Torah is very important to Jews, and so we treat it almost like it's a person. As you can see here, we've dressed it in what we call a mantle. We've also put on it a breastplate. This symbolises also what the priests would have been wearing in the temple period. And on the top, we have what we call rimonim. The most important part of the service is when the Torah is read. The Torah will be taken out of this ark, taken around the congregation so that everyone can come close to it, and then put on this reading desk. It's written in Hebrew, and Jews believe that it was given to Moses by God. When reading this to a congregation, we use something called a yad. Yad means hand, as you can see by the hand on the end of the pointer. The yad is used to read the Torah so that we don't have to touch it directly with our fingers. This keeps it from being damaged. And when reading the Torah to the congregation, there'll be several people standing around the bimah to help undress the Torah and also to make sure that we don't read it incorrectly. There is a tradition of singing the Torah instead of just reading it. This both beautifies the Torah and it lets us know where the punctuation is, where sentences end. After the Torah service, when the Torah has been walked around the congregation again and put away, the rabbi will give his sermon. The rabbi is the leader of the congregation. Rabbi means teacher, so the rabbi's main job is to teach us. And also if we have questions about Jewish law, we go to the rabbi. The prayers during the service will be led by somebody called a chazan, or cantor. The chazan sings the prayers and leads the congregation in singing. When the rabbi is teaching the congregation, he'll be facing us, but when the chazan is leading prayer, he faces the same direction as the rest of the community, towards Jerusalem. This is the women's gallery. As you can see from the decorations, we have lots of pictures of leaves and flowers and vines around the synagogue, but we don't have any pictures of people. This is because when Judaism first began, people were worshipping statues, and the Jewish people wanted to separate themselves from the other tribes. Another way that the tribe of Israel was different to the other tribes is that the Jewish people worship one unseen God. Because we're a traditional service, only men can participate actively, that is, leading prayers or reading from the Torah. But this synagogue is different to many other very traditional synagogues because we count women in what we call a minyan. A minyan is how many Jews we need to do certain prayers. Traditionally this was 10 Jewish men, but in this synagogue we count men and women. Another mitzvah or commandment that some women choose to do that we're not obligated to is wearing tefillin. Tefillin are 2 black boxes that we wear during morning prayers during the week. This is because in the Torah it tells us that we shall wear the words on our arms and on our heads. This means spiritually that we're supposed to take the words of the Torah with us wherever we go, but we also physically wear them during our morning prayers. Inside these boxes are tiny little scrolls with words of Torah on them. Thank you for coming, TrueTube. I hope you enjoyed your visit to the new London Synagogue. Shavua Tov. Have a good week. Shavua Tov.